Hello and welcome to Inferences with Text Evidence, Information Text. Learning target today, I can analyze text, make inferences, and support them with several pieces of text evidence. Let's get started. There are a lot of important pieces when it comes to inferences with text evidence. Let's look at the terms and definitions. Evidence, facts or information to show something is true. Text evidence, evidence from a fiction or nonfiction text that can be used to support ideas, arguments, opinions, and thoughts. Inference. An inference is text evidence plus prior knowledge. And this can tell us how a character is feeling, about their personality, what is currently happening, or what happened. ICE can be used to help us explain these. ICE stands for inference, cite, explain. You also need to know how to properly cite a source. Notice that in this citation, we see a quotation mark and a quotation mark at the end. This means that it is a direct citation, word for word, from the text. Then we have our parentheses. Inside the parentheses would be the author's name and the page number. Finally, we round it out by putting a period at the end so we know that this is all tied together. Knowing what an inference is an important part of this skill set. Remember that an inference is text evidence plus prior knowledge. It's kind of like your opinion and then proof of why you feel that way. Inferences, again, can tell us about how a character is feeling, about their personality, but keep in mind, an inference comes from your own thoughts. Then you back it up with text. An inference is not stated in the text. Also, an inference is not a prediction. Do not start a sentence with, they are going to. That would not be an inference. It is a prediction. We need to make sure to know the difference. Evidence will show that you know what you're talking about. Help others understand your observations and opinions. Encourage people to view you as a credible or trustworthy source. Convince a disbelieving audience to agree with you. When you use text evidence, that is called citing your source. Citing text evidence is when you write a sentence from the text that proves that you are right. You need to write it word for word and put quotation marks around it along with the author and the page or paragraph number where you found it. Let's look at what this looks like again. Notice at the start we have got a quotation mark at the beginning. Then we cite it word for word. When I stepped out into the bright sunlight from the darkness of the movie house, I had only two things on my mind, Paul Newman and a ride home. Then we have more quotation marks. The parentheses with the author's name and the page number it comes from, parentheses, and finally a period at the end. You might be hearing this a lot. It's probably because it's important. Here's what it might look like when you're doing it. After you've given your inference and cited the text evidence, you need to explain your reasoning. This is an easy stem to follow. I can infer blank because the author says blank, along with the author and the page number, period. Therefore, and that's when you explain how they both fit together. You could also use words like this shows, as a result, my reasoning is, this suggests, in other words. Any of those are great sentence starters that will lead you right into a wonderful explanation. Let's practice together. Every day after work, Paul took his muddy boots off on the steps of the front porch. Alice would have a fit if the boots made it so far as the welcome mat. Then he took off his dusty overalls and threw them into a plastic garbage bag. Alice left a new garbage bag tied to the porch railing for him every morning. On his way in the house, he dropped the garbage bag off at the washing machine and went straight upstairs to the shower as he was instructed. He would eat dinner with her after he was presentable, as Alice had often said. What kind of work does Paul do? Here's what I wrote down. I can infer that Paul works digging septic tanks because the author says, every day after work, Paul took his muddy boots off. Notice that I put unknown one because I don't know who the author is here, and there is only one paragraph. This shows that Paul's boots are muddy every day, and he must be doing something in the mud, like digging, for them to be this way. Now it's your turn. Read the paragraph and answer why is Max upset. Make sure to use the stem to help you. Pause now. Let's correct. I can infer that Max wanted to play outside because the author says dropping the kite from his hands. This suggests that Max had wanted to go outside to fly the kite. Read the paragraph to find out what happened to the window. Then complete the stem. Pause now. Let's correct. I can infer that Tommy broke the window because the author says Tommy's shoes were gone. My reasoning is that Tommy left to avoid getting in trouble with his mom. Here is your last practice. Read it to find out why did Bartleby run. Use the stem to answer the question. Pause now. All right, I'm glad you're ready to correct. I kind of ran out of room on this one, but I'll do the best I can. I can infer that Bartleby ran from embarrassment because the author says he blushed and tried to put it in Veronica's mailbox, but it wouldn't quite fit. Blushing suggests embarrassment, and it became worse when the letter wouldn't fit. Great work today. You've completed Inferences with Text Evidence, informational text. Please make sure to turn in your completed work when you are done. Thanks for joining me.